What's up, y'all? Welcome to the new channel. I've been told throughout my life that I have a very serenading voice. So, I do have a podcast. However, I was like, how do I combine my talent for art with my ability to speak? And my wonderful girlfriend gave me the idea of draw and talk. So I hope you enjoy this yapathon, but you also maybe some ideas spark if you're into art. For starters, we're gonna be redrawing an old character of mine. I am using Procreate. Procreate has a ton of fucking tools, and with their new update, lots of stuff you can work with. I have these imported tools that are like my holy grail for anything that I create. For starters, we're just gonna start off with a clean sketch. Like I said, we're doing this piece is gonna be kind of inspired by one of my old characters. Hold on, I'm gonna pull them up for you guys. Give me 1 second. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna just grab my phone and show you guys. So here he is right here. Hold on. This is Focus. This is Flower Boy. I know you can't really see Focus. Let me pull up a better picture. Because this one was actually on the t-shirts that I put on my website. This is a Flower Boy. He's a antisocial flower, and I drew him back in 2024 because I was also quite the anxious little bud. Down a little bit. Over the years, I've been redrawing him as, I don't know, I just like watching cartoons and looking at like characters that are super antisocial, like Hinata from Naruto or L from Death Note. I really drive the antisocial characters as I'm antisocial myself. This will be my first time actually drawing on the iPad in a couple weeks, so I'm not gonna do a crazy piece like that first one I showed you. I'll just keep it simple. We're gonna start with the head. I usually always like to start with a circle. Circle doesn't have to be perfect, but it definitely helps when it comes to how I want to construct the shape. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a head to torso drawing. Like I said, it definitely helps when constructing the shape, and if you look at the first photo that I gave you, his head is kind of circular. Nonetheless, we're still gonna play around with it. Usually when I'm drawing antisocial characters, I like to Make sure they have relatively big eyes. We're gonna draw some anxiety lines. I think for this piece we'll have him getting ready for a job interview. We're gonna give him a little neck. Give him a little dress shirt. And while I'm drawing, I'm also gonna yap a little bit. I do this thing, or I'm trying to start this thing, where I learn new words every day. I love having an extensive vocabulary, and I have a little yap sesh, because this was a really important reminder for me yesterday. The word of the day yesterday was Panglossian. And a Panglossian is a person who essentially is overly optimistic. They are able to be optimistic even during hardship. And the crazy thing is that I found this word after watching the movie called The Long Walk. So, spoilers. In that movie, there's a character named Peter. And Peter serves as a side character to our main character, Ray. So, within the film, Ray joins the Long Walk to get revenge against his father's killer. That's okay. Typical revenge story. Peter serves as the character, the light, essentially. And Peter's backstory is that he was raised in his parents died in the war. He was raised in an abusive home and eventually was on the streets. And he spent time picking fights, with everybody, with adults, with people of his age. And eventually he got cut up real good by this one guy. And from that day forward, he realized he had another chance to live, essentially. He had another chance to keep going, to do things better. And from that day forward, he spent it enjoying the small stuff. Seeing the beauty in life for what it is. Now, like I said, I found the word Panglossian immediately after I finished that movie and prayed. Not getting too personal, I will say that life has been lifing. And for me, that order of events, like watching that movie, praying, finding that word, it just felt like more proof to me that God is still there. As you can see right here, we got the outline of the shirt kind of laid out. Again, I might wind up changing this. This is just a rough sketch. I want to say that he's a bit older now. I feel like in the last piece, he was kind of a teenager. So, I want to say that he's like same age as me now. So we're gonna give him a little mustache. Man. I'm hoping that y'all are doing alright, taking care of yourselves. So this is the fun thing about being an artist, because as an artist, you tend to start something, and if you're not feeling it, you'll scrap the whole fucking thing. And right now, I'm kinda not feeling this. I definitely feel like I could do better. But I'm also trying to be graceful, because I did also just say that we're gonna start small, but I do feel like I could do better, so we're gonna start over. Under normal circumstances, when I reach points like this, I try to find inspiration, and I believe that everybody should have an inspo. But I'm also trying to challenge myself right now to just play around with ideas until I find some. I'm gonna start with a circle. I'm gonna actually start sketching out the frame of the body this time. Make that a little bit bigger. I think that's a bit too wide for his build, because he is a slim guy. We'll start with the neck. Not filling those eyes. Yeah, there we go. Make those eyes wider. I feel like those are too deadpan. Gotta make them more circular. Yeah, kinda. This is a fun part. You gotta play around with it. I hope that you guys are staying safe out here. I know that the world's in a very crazy state right now. Real crazy state. Man. Rest in peace to Kevin Porter, rest in peace to Renee Good. It's a shame the state of world we live in right now. It's even more sad. It really feels like history repeating itself. Okay, see, I'm digging this a bit more. I'm gonna fix the flower petals though, because it's a bit too wild to my liking, and I want that shit uniform. feeling that. Let's clean it up a bit more. And let's start from the bottom instead of the top. Yeah, there we go. Now I feel like I'm kind of getting where I want to be. Yeah, I'm feeling this a bit more. Like I said, this is just the rough sketch, so nothing too crazy. Put a little bit in between. Yeah, we'll make it do what it do for right now. I guess we could just fill in this empty space back. So I saw this guy on Instagram, right? And he's been inspiring me to dress a bit similar. So the caption was something him dressing like a JoJo character. And that inspired the fuck out of me. In one of his fits, he has a tie with flowers on him. And I'm gonna do that shit in real life because I've been dressing a lot more like teacher-like. And I love it. I love the feel of it. I love getting all cleaned up and shit. I love that shit. I hate ironing though. I'm sorry, I'm a lazy fuck. I will wear that wrinkly shirt with pride on my face. I don't give two shits. So for this character, best believe his shirt's gonna be wrinkly as fuck. But I'm about to adopt that style, that pattern with the flowers on the tie. I think that shit is so tough. So let's get into it. Well, for starters, let's finish the rest of this nigga's shirt. Cool. I'm gonna slide some arms in between there. Fuck it, we can scoot him up a little bit, why not? Well, I mean, I want it to seem like he's anxiously heading to work. So we're gonna have this arm actually come in front a little bit. See, this is the fun thing about art. You could build off it. I definitely feel like the proportions are off. We're gonna have it come that way. Hold on. Art theory. this is what we got so far. We're getting there. We just gotta trust the process. Gotta fix a couple things for sure. And fuck it, we'll have his hand in his pocket, why not? He just got off a stressful shift. What y'all think Flower Boy will be a manager for? Let me know in the comments below. I feel like he'd work at IKEA or some shit. I don't know, something with furniture for sure. Would it be crazy if I put a bogey in his mouth? Listen, as an antisocial flower, if you're not selling drugs or if you're not killing niggas, you gotta have some kind of vice. If not a bogey, definitely a joint, something. Okay, I kind of want this to be a big tie. Type shit. Alright, we're gonna clean up the sketch. Take a bit of a breather for a second, let the thoughts run. This is what we got so far. If I must say, we're not doing so bad. Like I said, simple. I'm not gonna make it too crazy. I'm gonna clean up the top in a second, and then we're gonna get started on the top. Man. Hope y'all doing good this year so far. Like I said, overall, this year so far has been pretty chill, all things considered. It's definitely some things that I want to work on. One of those being consistency. I definitely feel like one problem that I have with this content creation shit is I'm inconsistent, I'm gonna be honest. But when you got 2 jobs and you have a life outside of all this shit, it is hard. I'm understanding the Corey Kenshin clowning now. Like, nigga, I actually have shit going on. When you got shit going on, when you got shit to take care of, you may not always have time to do this shit. Now, I know most people would probably be all like, well, that's how he made his living. But, I mean, you gotta remember, that nigga's been doing content creation for hella long. I imagine, especially with everything the community is putting him through, he might be burnt out. And that's okay too. We're just gonna have small details, start building up this character here. You know, every dress shirt got a little pocket on it. Fuck it, we'll give my boy a name tag too. Okay, we definitely gotta clean this shit up. I might make a new layer with a cleaner thing on. I usually try to do my sketch layer in one layer before I do the line art. FB. Alright. We're gonna make this really small because we're about to add the flowers and shit. We gonna start with a lot of tulips, I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of tulips, bro. I mean, nothing but tulips. I know that these are not asymmetrical, not too much. It's the rough sketch. And we got our first flower. Right on. We're gonna do a few more of these. I realized that I haven't talked about a lot of topics that I would for my most recent podcast, so fuck it, we gonna talk about it here. The last time I did a fucking podcast was in late 2023. Fuck, and we talked about a lot of things. Let's start with the state of music right now. So much has happened in the music game. Holy shit. Where do we begin? Kendrick and Drake was a beef that I've been waiting for since, like, I don't know how long. But I've definitely been waiting for a long time for those two to beef. Because even back then I was saying, if those two ever beef, Kendrick is destroying him. Alright, that's starting to look real good. Definitely gotta add a bit more. Not gonna lie, we're gonna do some research on flowers, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I know about flowers, but not off the top of my head. But yeah, man. Let's break it down. So it all technically started with Drake and J. Cole's song First Person Shooter. And it started with Cole essentially saying that, like, him, Drake, Kendrick, top 3. But obviously he's a heavy hitter, essentially. It was the most humble way of saying, like, nigga, we definitely top 3, but I'm still him, type shit. And Kendrick took that shit personally. Now, granted, there are subliminals. There's always subliminals. Nigga is Drake. But, sorry, I'm looking at these flowers. But Kendrick took that personally. Also, apparently, they actually wanted Kendrick to be on First Person Shooter, but who would want to be on the same song as a weird ass nigga? So Kendrick hopped on the Metro Boomin and Future album, and he hopped on the song Like That. And on that song, he essentially said, fuck the subliminals. And he just let shots fire. These niggas talking out of their neck. That nigga essentially started the war. He fired the shot with that one. I'm not fucking with this leaf, bruh. Yeah, I'm not feeling that. Fuck it, we could draw some roses. Why not? I'm not the best at roses that are blooming. I'm pretty good at roses that have not bloomed yet. Fuck it, we'll start small. What is this, a marigold? Oh, fuck it, yeah, we could put some sunflowers on that bitch. What am I doing? Put a big ass thing right here, yup. But yeah, Kendrick dropped like that with Future, and that essentially was like the green light for them to diss each other. So then Drake responds with Push-Ups, and then he follows up with Tailor-Made Freestyle. So Push-Ups, I'm not gonna lie, out of all the disses, that was probably his most solid in my opinion. Now actually Family Matters was probably his most solid out of all those, but Push-Ups was definitely a hard way to start. And I'm not gonna lie, as a Kendrick fan, I'll be honest, I'll be very transparent. Kendrick not responding for 17 days, as a Kendrick fan, nigga, I was pissed. I couldn't even listen to any of that nigga's music. I needed that nigga to respond back because the Drake fans were on his ass. It was not looking good for us. But also as a Kendrick fan, I was like, Kendrick ain't gonna bite the bullet that quickly. Kendrick is a very intentional man. So if this man does respond, it's gonna be peak. So while I was anxious, I was also patient. Because I know Kendrick Duckworth Lamar. Or Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, I don't know. So, 17 days later, Kendrick responds with Push-Ups. Or not Push-Ups, Euphoria. And might I say, that was probably the best way he could have ever came back towards that nigga. It was a heavy hitter, but you could also tell he had more in the chamber. Because he alluded at it at the end of the song. He was like, "You taking it there, I'm taking it further." And I love that. I love that toxicity. And on this song, man, like, it's just pure battle rap that I'm hearing. Especially the Pusha T line. I love that. Okay, these flowers are nice. These flowers are nice. So for this one, it's literally just a big ass cluster of flowers shaped like this. So, Kendrick responds with Euphoria. He then chooses to follow up with 616 LA. Now, me personally, I feel like this might be the greatest song, period, to come out of this entire beef. Out of all the songs in this entire beef, I have that one on repeat. Why? Because that song was the warning, and then Drake fell for the bait. Drake responds that same night, I believe. Either not the same night or the next day with Family Matters. So, Family Matters, on that song, he's like, he has the Good Kid Mad City band. He's crushing that. And he's coming up with all kinds of allegations, like saying that like Dave Free, and for context, Dave Free is one of Kendrick's close homies, but also like producer, director, basically Kendrick's day one, right? He's saying that Dave Free is the real baby daddy of Kendrick's children. Now, why Drake should even have the word children in his mouth, shit's beyond me. But fuck it. We'll play with this narrative, right? I remember this day specifically because this day would go on to be one of the most monumental days in music history. And I'm sure that everybody that was actively a part of this beef can agree with this statement. This nigga Kendrick is the boogeyman. There's no doubt about it. Because that same night while Drake fans are celebrating, literally an hour, no troll, an hour after Drake drops Family Matters, this nigga Kendrick releases, how could I forget the name of one of the greatest nails in the coffin? Meet the Grams. This nigga drops Meet the Grams. You thought Hit 'Em Up was bad? You thought No Vaseline was bad? You thought Ether was bad? In my humble opinion, actually, in terms of disrespect, I definitely feel like Hit 'Em Up is still up there. But I'm not gonna lie, this might be a wild take. Meet the Grams is the greatest nail in the coffin diss track I personally have ever heard. Now, there's a lot of old heads that might disagree. There's a lot of diehard Nas, Pac, NWA fans that might disagree. But in terms of timing, nail in the coffin energy, I definitely feel like Meet the Grams is up there for sure. This nigga drops Meet the Grams. And Meet the Grams was one of those diss tracks that it was like terrifying to listen to. It was one of those disses where it was like, bro, I can't keep witnessing this fucking slaughter. It was that bad, bro. And I'm sure everybody that reacted to it can agree. For me, it was at that moment where I was like, yeah, Kendrick won. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was at that point for me that I felt like Kendrick won. But this nigga Kendrick wasn't done. No, not by a long shot. That nigga was not done. The next morning, this nigga drops Not Like Us. Now, I don't know how tech savvy y'all are, or how familiar y'all are with symbols, whatever. Symbols. I don't know how tech savvy y'all are with symbols. But as soon as I saw that sex offender logo, I knew immediately. Meet the Grams was the nail in the coffin. Not Like Us was this nigga pissing on the grave. And I couldn't have been more wrong. This nigga took every fucking critique of Kendrick's music, like Kendrick can't make hits. The West Coast sucks. This nigga took that shit, flipped that whole narrative, and respectfully dropped his testicles on Drake's face. If you're a new viewer and this language offends you or disturbs you, I'm sorry. I have no filter. And I have a crazy way of describing things. I want you to understand that this was a manslaughter. This was a different level of slaughter. Looking at all these different fucking flowers that I've seen, I know names of, however, I'm finding difficulty in drawing them. Like roses. Roses are my favorite flowers, and I'm finding difficulty in trying to draw them. Now, I want y'all to understand that the following events I'm about to talk about is a different level of generational hating. So as we just learned, Kendrick drops Not Like Us. It gets worse from here, believe it or not. Because he follows up by shooting the music video on the 4th of July. And in the music video is his children and wife crip walking to the disc. But not only that, he brought out the entire city of LA for the music video. But hold on, because it gets worse from there. This nigga hosts a concert called The Pop Out, where he brings out a ton of LA artists, and he also performs. And as a fellow West Coastian, as a fellow West Coast native, this shit was monumental to our culture for seeing the West Coast get the love that it deserves. I love that for us because I noticed that before all this shit happened in the hip hop community, the West Coast was always downplayed. And granted, it's always been West Coast, East Coast. But West Coast culture, like when I lived on the East Coast, bro, I'd play artists like E40, G-Eazy, bro, and I would get clowned. Especially when I played E40. Niggas could not stand that shit. They gotta understand that's where I come from type shit. That's what I grew up on, bro. We grew up on Graveyard Shift. We grew up on all kinds of shit. So when this pop out happened, it changed the game, bro. It truly did. It changed the game. This nigga Kendrick comes out, right? He has Dr. Dre. This nigga starts with Euphoria. And this was the coldest entrance I've ever seen in a live performance. Because he just let the instrumental play at first. And there might be people that be like, oh, you glazing. No, nigga, it's fact. It's fact. Alright, I'm not fucking with this flower. But it's fact. So it comes time for him to perform Not Like Us. And Dr. Dre introduces it for him. This is what we got so far. What's our battery looking like? We're at 85. We're doing pretty good. So, real quick, I'm gonna get off topic. After I finish a sketch, I always try to clean it up, and then we move on to line art. Okay, that's still pretty small. Let me make that bigger. And we'll make it bigger. There we go. This flower to be fully bloomed. Oops. Much smaller lines. Yeah. Pardon these messy ass lines. Again, this is just a sketch. I gotta be perfect right now. Long story short with the Kendrick shit. This nigga performs that diss not once, not twice, but a grand total of 5 times. And around the 4th or 5th time, he starts bringing people up on stage. He's bringing out huge West Coast legends like Schoolboy Q. Pretty sure LeBron was at that fucking concert. He had different gangs up there unified, just calling Drake a pedophile. Shit was crazy. And then a whole bunch of other stuff happens for Kendrick to just assert his dominance. And again, you might call this glaze, but I want you to remember that one, Drake wanted this. Drake called out all this. The same people that would call me a glazer are the same people ignoring the fact that you niggas are the same niggas that were talking about Kendrick can never make a hit. Kendrick's music is ass. But the proof is in the pudding. The pop out sold out. Not Like Us, highest selling diss record and the only diss record to win 5 Grammys. This nigga had the entirety of the Grammys singing his diss, including Beyonce. Proof's in the pudding, bro. Y'all gotta cope. Y'all have to cope. Later that year, Kendrick would drop G and X. Because I'm getting the sense that he really wanted the West Coast to be put on the map. Because, like I just said, the West Coast disrespect was crazy. Alright, for the line art, we're going to come over to inking, and I always use this Sierra brush. I also use this for coloring because I feel like it's just a perfect brush. We're gonna start off on 5. Wait, let me test it. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. So with the line art, you want to take your time. I know this doesn't look like I'm taking my time, but look, trust. We're gonna make his head kind of ovular. Is that a word? So we're not gonna start with the eyes yet. We're gonna start with the bigger objects like the shirt. Now you're probably wondering why. The reason for this is because whenever I'm making art, I try to work in a flow, especially with line art, because the difference in lines makes the difference. Even if you look at the sketch, right? Let's look at this tie right here. Let me turn up the opacity real quick. The difference in lines, like the thickness right here, and then the thinness right here, that contrast, it just does something to the piece. So the same rule applies when you're doing line art. What I like to do is I like to start with the bigger objects first, the outside objects, those get the thickest lines, and then the inside gets the thin lines. So everything in here, it's gonna get thinner lines. Let's start with the hair, or the petals. Like I said, we're gonna take our time with this. So So I'm drawing kind of nervously right now, and you could tell that in my lines. My lines are not confident, so let's fix that. It's too thin. Much better. When doing line art, this is something that I studied when I first started digital, is that you don't want your lines to lack confidence. Sometimes I rely on the tool, especially with lines like that last one, where I want it to be specific. However, whenever you have non-confident lines, it makes for kind of an awkward piece. Like that line right there, that was confident as shit. I gotta give myself props. These are some confident ass lines. You can clearly see the difference between the sketch and the line art. The sketch is just the rough draft, if you will. It's like when you type an essay. You have the rough draft, you have how you want to lay it out, your talking points, and then when you get to the line art, you're taking your time. I look at the line art as a brand new thing. Normally my line art layer is actually lower than this in opacity, but I don't know, like I said, I'm easing myself back into it today. Back to Kendrick. Kendrick would go on to drop G and X, and then after dropping G and X, he would be chosen to perform at the Super Bowl. So this also caused a lot of controversy because a lot of people wanted Lil Wayne to be at the Super Bowl. Now let me say this. While I understand that Lil Wayne is a NOLA native, you guys need to understand that I don't know if you've heard or seen clips from Lil Wayne's most recent concerts, but I'm more than confident he's pretty high at them. And I'm also confident that he put on some pretty bad performances. That, in general, I feel like Kendrick worked his ass off to get there. He put out some crazy content. He united the West Coast for a bit. Like he was doing the damn thing. Yeah, there was a lot of drama involving Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne's response on the internet was also pretty salty. Again, me personally, I would rather take a Kendrick concert in NOLA where I know I'm gonna get one, an excellent performance, but also quality music, than hearing Lil Wayne get up on there talking about out of love. Like, bro, I don't want to hear that. Alright, we got the head done. We're gonna move on to the neck. Now, so at this point, you're probably wondering, why is the neck getting the thick line? Well, it's a part of the body. Make this a bit shorter, so that way it still fits. Proportions, people. Or should I make it bigger? Should I move his head up? I might just move his head up a bit. Yeah, at least that way, when I bring the neck down, oh my god, can I get off the eraser? Welcome to art, folks. Okay, I never want the neck to be this, yeah. Never want the neck to be that straight, ever. Okay, we're gonna start building the collar. Sorry folks, you're probably wondering why I'm not sticking with the original. Proportionally that felt off to me. Still kinda does. If I bring it up here, it should be fine. Tripping. This is the fun part, folks. Line art is where you gotta tighten it up. Alright. What the hell? Shoutouts to Procreate. I've tried other softwares like Medibang and Clipart. I know Clipart is the general choice, and to be fair, I haven't played with their studio mode all too well. That being said, I've been on Procreate for so long that it's what I feel most comfortable with. I love their UI. Yeah, it just feels so fluid. I will say that I do like Clipart's brushes more. Definitely feel like their brushes just add so much life. Okay, so now we're getting down to the meat and potatoes. With this shirt, I want to be very intentional with how I do these lines. Still following the original sketch, but just adding small things that make sure that you guys get the feeling this shirt is wrinkly as hell. Yes, these lines are confident as fuck and I love it. Yep. Oh my god, perfect. Perfecto. Alright, let's get this one right here. And not feeling that. What y'all think? No, I'm not like that's better. Yeah, it's better. Okay, so with the rolled up part right here, gotta be real intentional with how we do these lines. Because it's rolled up, we want it to feel like it's rolled up. Nice. Got one down. So you're probably wondering why for these parts right here am I not adding lines? Well, for those specifically, I want to add slightly smaller lines. So we'll come back to that. Okay, that was a terrible arm. For this, I kind of want it to be straight, but not bendy either. Perfect. We gotta fix this pedal right here because we did. Cool. Time for the other side. Oh yes. Real confident. like that. Gotta be real careful right here. Good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you're probably wondering why right here I just added that little hook. When making shirts or jeans, this is still something I'm actually studying, but I've learned that when making jeans or folds in a shirt, they usually make this shape right here. Like, let's say this is the sleeve of a shirt, right? They universally have this crevice right here. So in theory, you could add like one right here, small little line right there. Let's say we want one right here. Small little hook. Same thing. I don't know. I've found that to be an easy, small detail that I throw in there to emphasize wrinkles and folds. It helps when shading. It's just a great tool. Okay, so again, we want this to feel like it's folded up. So I'm gonna put those little folds right there. Oops, eraser too big. Nice. Alright, for that one I am going to add the tool. I'm also going to add the tool right here. Fold, fold. Oh, no. Nope. Yes. Nice. And then it's looking nice so far. We're just gonna bring this up a little bit because I want that to reach the top. Actually, never mind. We'll bring it down. We'll just fill that in. I'm gonna finish everything else and then I'll bring it upward. Yeah, we'll do it that way. We're gonna fill this in right here. Actually, fuck it, we'll just clean it up now. One thing that my art teacher tried to teach me, tried to hammer in my brain and my classes as well, is filling in empty space. I definitely feel like I've done a lot better of that in my most recent years. But definitely still something that I have to remind myself, gentle reminders. Cool. Let's add this arm in here. Actually, no. I kind of... See, this is one of those things where the awkward line, I'm fucking with. That one I'm not. Like, I feel like it's gotta be 50-50. If I'm gonna have one awkward line, I'm gonna have one straight one. So I'm gonna have to make the pants wider. Slightly though, slightly though. Small little line right there, because that belt is gonna come in and overshadow that. Now the thing is, what the hell? The fun part of using Procreate. What the fuck is still big? Okay, well now it's too damn small. Right there. Yeah. So the fun part of using Procreate is touching the opacity bar when you're not touching it. I'm trying to get this line right. That'll do for now. I'm gonna touch that up. That's too soon. Perfectamundo. So we're gonna add an extra flap because there's a ton of space right there. Cool. We're gonna fill this in because that just looks nasty. Nice. Alright, we got one side down. That looks too big. That might alarm you, what someone said, and now it on you. Alright, you're looking pretty solid so far. Let's finish up the pants. And I'm gonna clean up this belt. There we go. Alright, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add that pants part. Actually, I'll do that later. We'll come back. Let's do this tie, but not fully. We're gonna do the tie itself, and then come back for the smaller things. Pretty solid so far. Same thing, actually. We're just gonna nice. Alright. We have the outside part down. And unfortunately, we do have to cut it short right here. However, next time when we come back, we're going to do all the small stuff and we'll get started on the color. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe. Come back for more yapping, more art. If this helps you sleep, or if it's just something you want to turn on while you do another activity, I'm glad. Have a blessed night. I love you. Peace.